Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, my name's Noah. I'm a local videographer in the metro Atlanta area. So glad you guys could make it. Hey, today we're talking about something that might be a little controversial. It's going to be the difference between what an iPhone can produce and what a camera can produce. Now, I have an Fx3 and a C70. Today's video, I'm going to be using the Fx3. It's what's filming me currently. But I wanted to see, with all the hype around the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, if you can get a good image out of an older iPhone. Because to me, as an owner of an iPhone 13 Pro, I don't see the need to upgrade to the 15 for some of the aspects of the camera and the log, because of the gear I have. And it doesn't make sense for me to pay $1,500 or $1,700 to upgrade to the Pro or Pro Max with 512 gigs of storage from this iPhone if I already have a camera. But here's the other question in that, is everybody goes around and says the iPhone 15 is going to be, you know, a great vlogging camera, a great this. If you already have a working iPhone that has a good screen, that still has good battery life, can you get away with using this as a phone and investing that $1,500 into a good camera body, into a good lens? Like $200 more and you can get a Fx3. In fact, during the Black Friday sales, you could get a Fx3 for around $1,500 to $1,600. If you go on eBay, you could probably get a Fx3 and a 50mm lens or a 20mm lens. You could find things for the same price of the new iPhone that would probably beat it in almost every area. So today we're going through, can you start on something like your current iPhone, save up a couple bucks, invest in some lighting, invest in some audio, and will that be good enough for most people? Or should you get an iPhone 15, or should you invest in a camera? Let's get into it. See you after the intro. Alrighty guys, so I don't want this to be some super long video, but I do want to talk about the three cameras in question I have today, which is my iPhone 13 Pro, an iPhone 15 Pro / 15 Pro Max, which I don't have. I do have some log footage that I acquired offline that I was able to color grade with the log footage from the Pro Max and Apple ProRes. And I have this Fx3 in front of me recording the non-intra 4K 422 10-bit footage out of the Sony Fx3. My question in this is, can you get away with content creation with something like an iPhone 13 or an iPhone 14 Pro, because you've already invested money into it? There's this need for videographers. I have it too. Don't hear what I'm not saying, okay? I have the same need to buy new gear and experiment with new gear. I love new gear. Look, if any brands are watching this and y'all want to send me some gear to review, I'll review the heck out of your gear because I love gear. And I think we can all agree that we love gear. But what happens is sometimes we use gear as a crutch for limitations that we haven't grown in other areas, whether that's color grading, your audio, your framing, your ability to shape light, whatever it is. We think gear is going to help save us and fix the problem. But I think that gear, although it does help, and I'm not going to say it doesn't help, I think gear is only about 40% of filmmaking. And honestly, it probably could be less. If you're trying to make money off of it, though, and you're trying to create a business, I think an investment in good gear does matter. But I think everything else matters that much more. So what we want to do is I want to take a look at my iPhone 13 Pro, where my Fx3 currently is. I'm going to rig this up in a second. And we're going to have a look and see if shooting on this in this sort of scenario, talking head, social media type stuff where you want vertical content, or I'm going to take this from this YouTube long video and I'm going to shrink it into 9:16 and I'm going to make some shorts out of this. Can the iPhone do the same thing while still not looking bad? So give me a second. I'm going to hook up my iPhone and I'll be right back. Alright, so now what you're seeing is the same scene, the same setup, the same everything now being filmed on my iPhone 13 Pro. And so the question I have is, with good audio and with a bit of lighting, all I'm using really is the Amaran 200X to light myself. I have a bit of background lighting from 2 Aperture MCs and 1 Aperture T2C, I believe is the 2-foot bar with the battery pack on it. Outside of that, I'm not really using anything else. So what we have is obviously the Fx3, and that camera looks amazing. But we have the iPhone, and the iPhone doesn't look bad. And the question that I now have to pose is it worth upgrading $1,000 if you trade your phone in, or $1,500 if you switch from another phone or just upgrade from a phone to the iPhone 15 Pro? Does it offer enough value with the log profile? Sure, you know, take away some of the digital sharpening that comes out of this iPhone and this current generation of iPhone that I'm on, which is the 13 Pro and the 14 Pro. Sure, you get the ability to color your films the way you want them to be. You get a little bit more dynamic range, and it looks great. I'll drop in a couple clips. Again, not my clips. I didn't take them. Just a couple clips I snagged on the internet of log footage from the iPhone, and I color graded. I'll show you what that looks like. I got it from another creator on YouTube. They were kind enough to produce a link to be able to test the footage out, and I'll play through that right now. And as you can see, this footage, it does look great, but part of what makes the footage look great is the environment it's filmed in, the lighting that it's shot in. Yes, I have the ability to push and pull the colors a little bit and tweak the colors and make them kind of how I want them to be, but at the same time, the shot itself looks great. The lighting itself looks great. It has a story. It tells something. It tells the viewer something. It gets you engaged. And the point I want to make is, I love my Fx3. I think it's a phenomenal camera. I love the C70. I think it's a phenomenal camera. But if the only camera you have is your iPhone, it can still work. Now, you can upgrade your image, you can upgrade your shot just by doing a few things of getting a decent microphone. Okay, there's a ton of options. You have the Rode Wireless Pro series that records 32-bit float on a wireless mic, and you get 2 of them. You could do a whole podcast on your iPhone. You get 1 or 2 lights, depending on what your needs are. You get an Amaran 60D. That light's like $140. You get a diffusion kit and a cheap light stand, and for $200, you have a key light and a camera. You include a Sennheiser MKE 400, or you get the Rode Wireless Me Go package. You add another $200 onto that, and for $400, you're off to the races recording and creating content. And although, you know, I typically rely on some of the quality of my content to entice a crowd or to entice a group of people, the quality of what you have to say is just as important. If you have a good message, you have a decent setup, you have okay lighting or good lighting, and you have better than average audio, and your camera quality is lacking just a little bit, people are far more likely to watch that than somebody who's got an amazing camera and nothing to offer. And so the proposition I want to make in this video is this: do you need the iPhone 15 Pro to make video? Do you need an Fx3 to make video? And the truth behind both these questions, and we all know it and we don't like hearing it, is no. You can make what you need to make off your iPhone. You can make what you need to make off of whatever camera you own. Look, I did a video not that long ago talking about quick and easy studio setup for YouTube videos and for filming, and I have a whole list of cameras I recommend, or lenses I recommend, and audio equipment I recommend for doing this, for getting in and doing it cheap. And I say cheap, but still the lowest end camera I would recommend for doing something like this is like an FX30 or a Canon EOS R8. You're still spending $1,500 a camera, and then you have to buy a lens. Start with your iPhone, start making content. Just do. And look, if it doesn't turn out good, well, you probably learned a lesson through it. If it doesn't look the best, you probably know next time what you need to do different, what kind of lighting you need to change. How can you make your footage look better? Everything's a learning process. You just actually have to get into the mindset of doing and get out of the mindset of buying gear. Like I said earlier, I'm just as guilty. I love buying gear. I love the excitement that brings. It's Christmas Day every time I get a package from eBay or Amazon or B&H, right? I love that stuff. But guys, we can do this sort of stuff on our iPhones. We can make it look decent. We can make it look good. But what matters is what you have to say. And people want to hear what you have to say. Even the haters want to hear what you have to say, right? It's just the fact of the matter. They click on your video. They want to hear what you have to say. So iPhone versus Fx3 versus iPhone 15 Pro. My recommendation to you is if you have an iPhone 13 or an iPhone 14, don't upgrade just for the fact that you get log and the fact that you get some cooler features on the camera. Invest in a camera instead. If you're someone who's just starting out and you have the iPhone 15 or you have the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max, hey, that's awesome. Use that for as long as you can until you need a camera. If you're someone who has an older iPhone and you have a camera, well then just don't upgrade. Like, yes, it's cool to be able to carry a camera around in your pocket everywhere you go, but there's plenty of cameras that can do that. And if you want really good video quality anyway, you could get like a GoPro Hero 12 cheaper than an iPhone. You can get the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 cheaper than an iPhone, right? You can get all this stuff at a much better price point than purchasing a new iPhone. Do I think the new iPhone's sick? Absolutely. Don't hear what I'm not saying. Do I think it's a whole step above the 13 and the 14? Absolutely. Do I think log brings something new to the iPhone? Absolutely. For a video creator as myself, I think it's awesome. I just don't think everybody needs it. And it gets into the conversation of, at what point do you stop buying gear? What's the gear that you need for your level? If that's something you guys want to hear, let me know in the comments below. I'll make a video about how I started, what I upgraded, what my process was through upgrading my gear and why I started upgrading my gear and when I think, at least from my experience, is the best time to start upgrading gear. If that's something you're interested in, like I said, drop a comment below, chuck a like on the video, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Much love. Peace.